I was just kind of stumbled across it this morning that, looking back at Aaron's December and January last year, it was like 17 touchdowns and 1 pick. So what is the advantage of cold weather throwing the ball? Because it seems counterintuitive.
Yes, you wouldn't think that you'd be able to do that both in the cold, in the wind. I've never seen anything like what Aaron Rodgers can do. I mean, we had a game earlier this year. I believe the wind was howling a little bit, and it's fun because you always have coaches out there kind of throwing to the guys in pregame, and balls are going everywhere and they're fluttering, and then Aaron is just diming it all over the place, almost like he can adjust it to the wind. It's an amazing thing to watch him throw the ball because it's very difficult because you have to play it. The ball starts turning. It doesn't just come straight at the wide receivers, which makes it even more difficult to catch than it already is. So, he's very talented when it comes to throwing the ball in the wind.
In your experience, what separates a quarterback that can actually excel throwing the ball in those conditions compared to most? Because it's not just Aaron. I mean, there's a handful that can do that, but a lot of guys can't. What separates those guys?
A lot of people say it's certain arm strength. Some people say size of the hands definitely helps. So there's a lot of things that go into it, and just understanding which way the wind is going, how to throw it which way, making those right decisions, anticipation of kind of how it's flowing. But it's hard. I mean, there's not a lot that are good at that. That's why a lot of people start running the ball quite a bit or going to those easier underneath throws.
So could you ever imagine calling a game where your quarterback only throws 3 passes?
I've been in a couple situations like that before, and I think in the end, it's about winning the game. That's all that matters. And I think that, as a team, if that's how you talk about it and describe it, that's what you're going to do. If you got to throw it 3 times, you got to throw it 60 times. I mean, got to do what you got to do.
Nathaniel, what do you guys, what did you think of what Randall gave you so far this season, and what do you have to do to kind of make up, without having him here with that receiving core?
I mean, what a great guy. I mean, being around Aaron for, going on the 3rd year, and just the first 2 years, how highly he spoke of him just as a human being. I think just him, kind of his presence walking in the building, just really blew my mind. Great family, and all that adds to, then he goes out there and plays and does great things on the field. And it's kind of funny because you watch him in practice, and sometimes you're like, you don't even know if he's going to be able to go out there and execute. And then the minute he hits the field, I mean, he's a true gamer. I mean, his knowledge of the game, his understanding of the game, the trust that he and Aaron have built is awesome. And I think that at the same time, you look at the first 2 years before he got here, we had some other guys that were out there, 13, 19, all these guys. So I think that, Allen and EQ, they're going to, they've already done it. They've already been there too. And it was just a bonus to have that connection come back and be a leader in that room and give us a lot. So those guys are going to have to step up, and they already have. They've already shown it, and I think that they've gotten better just having Randall in the room.
Nathaniel, were there any light bulb moments during the bye week about your run game, and particularly in the red zone? Do you think you guys learned a little something, or was it just an exercise in?
Yeah, I think the first thing was getting the sleep. That was great to be able to look at everything a little with a clearer mind. But I think, first and foremost, especially in the gold zone, I think it starts off with we put ourselves in a lot of bad situations. I didn't realize how many get back on tracks we were, which is, first and 11 plus, a second and 11 plus situation we were in. So I think that's kind of the starting point, is those penalties, those turnovers, those things that just we're not accustomed to that showed up. And then running the ball, I think we just need to be better all around in that. That's execution, that's game planning, all those things. I think we just have to be better, because in the past we had such smaller down and distances to be able to execute in. So when you're dealing with 3rd and 10, 3rd and 11, 3rd and 8, it's just harder to execute down there because it's that tighter field. So I believe as we can get more efficient in there, we'll be better. And that's just, again, it comes down to more game planning and executing, and we've got some couple things up our sleeves to hopefully get that thing right.
Did you see any differences as to when Aaron Jones was in the game and AJ? I mean, how teams played you? I mean, do they remain really worried about Aaron Jones running the ball in the red zone?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think it's both those guys. I think both those guys have done a really good job. from the standpoint of just kind of handling their business and running the football and being able to catch it out of the backfield. And nobody's really changed because we do so much of the same stuff with those guys. That's the great thing, is that they both can do the same thing. I mean, you see Aaron Jones run some people over. You see AJ run over a lot of people. You see AJ mix it up a little bit and able to kind of shake a guy here and there, and Aaron does that a little bit more. So they've got that good mix. So we're able to do the same stuff. So I think that they still know they have to stop that with both of them. But again, it's just getting those guys the ball a little bit more and getting them more touches.
How many backs do you see with AJ's size that have the shake that he has?
I mean, not a lot. I mean, he does some really good things. I mean, his size is, I mean, he's a good-looking dude, and all of a sudden when you see him make some of those catches down low, up high, I mean, you don't think a guy that size could be able to do that. So it's great to have him.
Anything else, guys?
Nathaniel, do you think the break is good for a guy like Royce Newman, who's been playing since, basically starting since the start of the season and into camp, and then has just been going and going and going? Do you think that provides?
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
I think it's everybody. I mean, day in and day out, as a coach, as a player, as anybody that's in this building, I mean, you guys, it's all of us. I mean, it's a grind in this profession across the board. And then all of a sudden you get a guy, and I mean, we all remember our first year when, I mean, you got to come in, you got to think of a new story, or you got to think of something else, you got to do. I mean, it really is a grind. And I think for these rookies, I mean, it's one of those things they've never experienced anything like that. I mean, 12 games, the 3 preseason games, training camp, the level of competition, the change of schemes, all those things. And we try our best to try to make it not monotonous. We try to mix it up as much as we can, make it fun and exciting, so the guys are excited to come into the building, because that's kind of the culture we built here with Matt, and I think that kind of keeps it live. But still, there are times that it kind of catches up to you. So I think that break is going to be huge. I think it's huge for our entire group, and now it's about getting refocused, reset, and ready to rock and roll here for these last 5 games.